The Still House Files, a documentary reconstruction. The property, County Recorder's Office, 1981. According to property transfer records filed the 12th of March, 1981, Parcel 44B, commonly referred to by locals as the Still House, was sold for a price well below market value. The cabin sat on 14 wooded acres near a defunct logging road, last maintained in 1967. The seller listed no heirs. The buyer, a quiet machinist named Evan Calder, paid in full, cash. Neighbors later testified that they found this unusual. The property had been vacant since the late 1950s. Prior owners abandoned it following what local newspapers vaguely called a domestic incident. No further details were recorded. Within weeks of purchase, Calder began restoring the cabin by hand. No contractors, no power tools. Receipts show lumber bought in small amounts, paid weekly. He filed no building permits. What struck officials later was not what he added to the house, but what he removed. Floorboards, walls, even the stone hearth. Something, Calder wrote in his journal, was still breathing in the wood. The journal, Recovered Evidence, Exhibit C. Calder's personal journals were entered into evidence after his disappearance. Handwritten, neat, dated nightly. At first, the entries were ordinary. Long workdays, cold mornings, the quiet of the forest. But by late April, the tone shifted. He wrote of waking before dawn, certain someone was standing in the room, not watching, waiting. He described dreams that felt more like memories, events he could not place in time. A man praying aloud in desperation. A woman crying behind a locked door. Footsteps pacing the same 3 boards every night. Calder did not describe fear. Instead, he wrote of responsibility. If a thing is buried long enough, one entry reads, it does not die. It listens. He began leaving the lights on at night. Neighbors reported seeing them flicker at odd hours, even during outages. The call, Sheriff's Dispatch Log, May 17, 1981. At 2:14 a.m., the county sheriff's office received a call from the Still House. The caller identified himself as Evan Calder. The transcript shows no distress. His voice was described by the dispatcher as flat but urgent. Calder reported hearing voices beneath the floor, voices repeating the same sentence over and over. When asked if anyone else was present, he paused for 12 seconds before answering. No, he said, but they are. Deputies arrived 23 minutes later. The cabin was dark, the door unlocked. No sign of struggle. Inside, they noted deep gouges in the subfloor, as if someone had attempted to pry it open with bare hands. Calder was gone. The case was logged as a voluntary disappearance. It would not remain that way. The court record, Superior Court of Oregon, 1982. The case resurfaced during an unrelated land dispute when Calder's journals were subpoenaed as evidence of property intent. During review, the court ordered a forensic excavation of the cabin foundation. What they found was not human remains, but evidence of confinement. Beneath the hearth lay a sealed crawlspace, undocumented in any architectural record. Inside, rusted chains bolted to stone. A chair worn smooth by decades of use. Scratch marks along the wall at eye level. Historical testimony revealed the cabin once served as temporary housing for itinerant workers in the 1940s. One worker, a man named Thomas Reeve, was reported missing in 1949. No charges were filed. The employer later testified that Reeve was unstable and prone to religious fixation. The case had been closed, but the walls remembered. The witness, affidavit neighbor, L. Marrow. Lydia Marrow lived a quarter-mile from the still house. She testified that on the night Calder vanished, she saw him standing in the clearing, barefoot, facing the trees. She said he appeared to be speaking, but not to her. He wasn't begging, she stated. He was answering. Marrow claimed the forest was unnaturally quiet. No insects, no wind. Just Calder's voice, calm and steady, repeating words she could not hear. When asked why she did not call for help, she said, "Because whatever he was talking to wasn't there to hurt him." She paused. It was there to be released. The police theory. Internal Memo, 1983. Detectives proposed that Calder, overwhelmed by isolation and historical knowledge of the property, suffered a psychological break. The journals, they argued, were evidence of obsession, not revelation. But one officer disagreed. A handwritten note in the margin of the file reads, "People don't dismantle their own house to free a lie." The still house was condemned and demolished later that year. The land remains undeveloped. Locals report the area feels lighter now, quiet but not heavy. No further incidents have been recorded. The final entry, journal fragment, undated. The last page of Calder's journal was not found in the house. It surfaced months later, discovered in a box of donated books at a roadside church. The handwriting was steady. Some prayers are not spoken to be answered. They are spoken to end. If truth is buried, it cries out, and someone must listen. Tonight, I will. The page ends there. No signature. Closing statement. There are no monuments at the site of the still house. No marker, no warning signs. Just trees. And ground that no longer holds its breath. Records call Evan Calder a missing person. The law calls the case unresolved. But those who study the documents, the journals, the transcripts, the testimonies, often come to the same quiet conclusion. Some evils are not defeated by force. They are undone by truth, and by those willing to stand in the dark long enough to speak it aloud. If you have enjoyed this faith-filled story, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you won't miss the faith within